Kelly here from Letter and Journal, and today I'm going to show you all about different pens and styles you can use with your calligraphy using these pens. So I have 5 different styles that I'll show you. I have a Pentel Touch, and this is a smaller calligraphy pen. This is the Tombow brush pen, which is one of the most popular pens right now. This is a Micron fine liner, and I'll show you how you can actually use that to make some faux calligraphy lettering. This right here is your old-fashioned calligraphy pen that you actually put different nibs in. I think I picked it up for a couple bucks, and each nib is $1 or $2 as well. And this right here is just a water brush pen that makes a great watercolor effect. You can also use it with ink, but today we're going to use it with watercolor. And so let me get started and show you how they work. So starting off, this is my favorite actually of all of them. I use it most common. It works well in my bullet journaling and just when I address envelopes. And this pen, as well as this Tombow pen here, create this effect. So it's a nice thin line so you can write sort of small. Great for sketchy notes. So that is the Pentel Touch. Next, the Tombow. There are so many great resources out there showing how people use Tombow pens. They'll mix colors, they'll use them as paintbrushes, and so I think these pens are fun, but I don't use them a whole lot because you have to write so big. So if you're doing a piece that just has a couple letters or a couple words, the Tombow brush pen would be good for that. But so I'll show you here what I mean. You can write smaller, but in my experience, the bigger, the better for these. You can sort of clean up your lines. And these are just for, this is just to show you how the pen works. Now this also has a tip on the other side that you can create, I don't know, filling in or whatnot. Okay, so next I have the Micron pen here, and this one is just a regular fine liner pen. This one's actually quite thin, and you can use any pen, maybe a ballpoint pen, to do this. And this one actually is waterproof as well, so you can play around and you don't have to be a master of the pushing down on the downstrokes to create this, and it still looks very elevated, but I will say it takes a little bit more time. So what I'm doing right here is just writing it in cursive, sort of big. And then I'll go back and I'll add a second line to wherever I put a downstroke. And look at that, it looks so nice. So this is great when you're doing journaling or writing a card or a letter. You can use this effect. You can also color in those lines if you want to. You can color them in with black, or if you have a waterproof pen, you can color it in with thin line of watercolors, which I'll show you in a bit. So that's that. It looks quite nice considering you're just using a regular pen. And next we have something that is actually much more difficult but really fun, and this is a calligraphy nib, and just kind of dip it in the ink, and this definitely takes a lot of practice, but it's fun. It's fun to practice. So I'd encourage you, if you're into calligraphy, to get one of these and try it out. It's not expensive. Although I'm sure if you spend a little more, you'll have less errors. I really like this ink as well. When it dries, it's slightly raised from the paper, which gives it just a little bit of dimension. I'm not an expert on this by any means. I'm an experimenter, but I like having all of these around as options for whatever I might be doing. A little bit of pooling right there on the top of that L because I was going fast, but it really makes a nice stark black line. I also have this gold right here, this gold ink, which I'll just show you. This is a much thinner nib. I think it'd be nice to see how this ink does on a darker piece of paper. And finally, I've got this water brush pen here, and Pentel makes a water brush pen. This one is a different brand, a Japanese brand I picked up here in Korea, but these are really fun as well, and they're great to use. They're great for kids, and it's nice because it feels like a pen. If you're using a regular brush, it's a little harder to hold, but if you're not used to brushes, this works really well. And since it's got water in it, it's nice. You don't have to continually dip your pen in or your brush in the water. So, and here's an example of, I'll finish it out with a regular paintbrush, much smaller to hold. This one is a very fine tip here. I'm a little bit less comfortable with this than I am the other methods. There are plenty of videos and practice sheets where people really go into depth to explain this. So you can see that, and you can also go in right here and show you how I can just paint over. If you've used a water resistant ink, then you can kind of go in and fill in those lines, and you've got a nice effect. You can also just use a marker. So you can see there's, just without spending a lot of money, you can try out one of these methods, and or all of them, and they're super fun. So I definitely recommend that you try it. I tend to use this style pen most often, so that's what I'm most comfortable with, and I feel like they're just super useful to me. So it might be a good place to start, but these are all great. So I definitely recommend you give it a try, and happy lettering. Bye.